Hey there, Cats and Kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video I'd like to talk about the first and hopefully a brand new ongoing series of Star Trek novels, Star Trek Seekers, Volume 1, Second Nature by David Mack. Just got done reading this a few days ago, and it just, astounded me. It follows on and is spun off from the Star Trek Vanguard novel series, which, of course, I love and adore. And it just, I fanboy over it because it takes place during the period of the original series of Star Trek, my favorite of all the series. And once the Vanguard saga wraps up with its final, eighth and final novel, that's where Seekers begins, essentially. It's following around the two primary vessels featured in the Vanguard saga, the U.S.S. Sagittarius, as seen on the cover of Volume 1, as well as the Constitution-class Endeavor, very much, Enterprise-looking in its style and format and everything like that. And the charter has been for these two ships to explore further the mysteries of the Taurus Reach, this largely unexplored section of space that debuts in the Vanguard saga. Because basically this section of space on either side is bordered by the Klingons on one side, Tholians on the other, there's potential problems around every corner that can mess with what Starfleet and the Federation are trying to do. So that's very much still a continued threat in this particular new line of stories, where basically in this particular start of this new saga, we're following the U.S.S. Sagittarius as they pick up an energy signature on this lush, forest-laden and water-filled world, in a pre-industrial society, very sort of native Indian you would think of, or African society. They don't have technology that should be producing these kinds of energy signatures. So naturally, the ship and its crew get curious, led by Captain Clark Terrell, who you'd probably, if you recognize the name, hails from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. That's one of my favorite aspects of these books, is that they have characters, semi-contributing characters that you might remember from both the series as well as the movies and stuff like that, building up to what would eventually culminate for their characters. We're seeing the early days of them, as well as being integrated with a whole bunch of new interesting characters as well. And when they track down this energy signature and they find this species, well, not only do they have to contend with the infamous Klingon Captain Kang, Michael Ansara's character from the original series, which the book is actually dedicated to the memory of, which is really awesome. But they also have to contend with this alien species is not quite what they appear to be, the Tamal, as they're known. Basically, there are certain things set up in the early going where you're seeing there's a transformation involved. This particular species is bent on a sort of ritualistic self-sacrifice. They have to sort of sacrifice themselves by a certain age, otherwise things happen. And it's interesting, I went into it thinking, well, maybe we would have the Sagittarius crew coming in kind of a la Kirk and Spock, and they'd have to find a way to help this species. They'd have to find a way to bring awareness that they shouldn't be doing this. Well, that's, of course, forgetting the prime directive of non-interference, which they adhere to. While they send a landing party to the planet, they are uncovering all this stuff, and the Klingons are involved. They have their wants, and, so basically the Sagittarius backs off and tries to stay hidden, but, of course, that can only last so long. And everything just goes insane. The entire novel builds up to this awesome crescendo cliffhanger, and we know, we are at full mast by the end of this particular story. And the saga, I can't wait to read as it continues in Book 2 by Dayton Ward and Kevin Dillmore, Point of Divergence, that one will be called. So, absolutely loved this particular novel, love that it follows on from Vanguard, is still taking place very near to the time period of the original series of Star Trek, featuring characters that relates to it and such like that, and it was a hell of a read. I could not any more give it high praise and recommend you read it if you're a Star Trek fan. So yeah, otherwise I'd love to hear from you in the comments below if you've ever heard of this particular series or if you're planning on checking it out, and otherwise I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later.